The divine is constantly in pursuit of us, and bhakti and passion for the divine is just answering that call and pursuing back. So I went to Oakland, California for a sitar recital, and my eyes were blessed with all this candy, flowers that I got to see of different architecture, shapes, colors, forms, and spring is upon us. So it's a great time to discuss what flowers represent and how they explain cosmic reality to us. I guess one way you can start taking a look at this is a romantic standpoint. So in Tantra, people kind of go the overly sexual route. They go maybe a very philosophical route. They go overly like cerebral and awareness, and the heart gets removed. However, that love story is that basis to know all. In fact, when you even think about the concept of, let's say, symmetry, does symmetry exist without two things kind of reflecting back to one another? Right? You can't think about symmetry with just one thing, you're kind of doing a comparison. So you can think of symmetry as romance and love. And you may even think about symmetry with synchronicities. So synchronicities really represent this sort of symmetry your consciousness has with material reality, right? And that's like a divine union of its own sort. So flowers being present in devotion, like giving flower to an idol, is very much like giving the creation back to its source. Yeah, duh, of course, but it's actually a literal representation. Flowers can reveal a lot to us about the universe, and the more we deep dive in, I think the more fun you'll have realizing, hey, like, it's really cool that for Valentine's Day or in romance that we give flowers to one another. It's like a deep reverence and bow to the divine in one another to offer that kind of thing up. So dimensional unfolding, big part of it. A flower starts from a seed, and that seed is both a point and also a 3D thing, amorphous, spherical type of situation. And it begins to bloom into its final form. Now, the cosmic data is already in the sphere point, everything is latent there, and with time, you get more of the generative dimensional unfolding, informational unfolding. I have had a video on the difference between entropic time versus generative time, where anything with entropy, there's like consequence via irreversibility of material things interacting. So of course flowers are of this material. So you have photosynthesis, the water cycle, animals fertilizing the ground. So that's not lost on me, but I do want to just talk about the concept of a flower. And the fact that it has so many different, colors, and we unfortunately leave beauty and passion and sensuality out of the equation when it comes to the divine or when it comes to science, but romance is a big part of it. I would say I wouldn't call myself a spiritualist, an atheist, a scientist. I would call myself a romantic, because when you lead with the heart, that's the seat of the divine, you automatically build a foundation for leading with the soul rather than the ego. And bhakti is so much about surrender and that sort of devotion, but it's not one directional. It actually is bi-directional. The divine is in pursuit of us and likes to remind us. Symmetry is a way of us kind of being pulled back into something. And you will find in fractals, in flowers, succulents that look like fans, it's this beautiful symmetry draws you in, right? And think about why. I think that we have sort of messed up beauty and how it takes on form in a way that's filled with vanity rather than compassion and passion. But like even the nice smell of a flower, it's like, come here, like be invited in, right? And when you're seeing the bloom, you're seeing informational unfolding taking place, and it's actually the birth of a universe. And not only that, I talk a lot in my cosmology about everything being birthed from sphere points. So even in the chakra system, in Tantra, there are points, right? These are points, and each of these points also have a bija mantra associated with them, a seed sound. Okay. So it's really fascinating because not only are they points, but they're all represented with flowers, and more dimensionality represented with more petals, until you get to the Sahasrara chakra, which is right above the head, and the sound syllable there is silence. But it's 1,000 petals, and it's just kind of paying homage to and representing metaphorically that we are all connected to this unity, infinite consciousness of the cosmos. And so, as the divine pursues us with a very sensual reality, very romantic reality, then we, as lovers of the divine, achieving the ultimate divine union with us and God, however you would like to define that. So, these roses are of that pursuit. And what's fascinating too is the metaphor behind weather and climate and seasons. So, spring represents new realities being birthed. And I just think it's so fascinating that in this season, you're actually seeing multiple universes being birthed metaphorically. So every flower is a reminder that this is the time for a new universe to begin, and that nature is also following these principles. Everything starts from that point that's also a sphere. It's got its latent ability to, blossom and appear in these ways. And if you want to know about the universe, if you want to know about the love of the divine, look no further than the flower. Like, really meditate on it, look at it, smell it, feel it. Each flower has a beautiful metaphor as well. So if you think about a dandelion and making like a wish on it, and the wisps at the boundary, think about a holographic reality universe. Talking about everything at the boundary is also stored at the center. And everything in the higher dimension, its data is stored in the lower dimension. So of course the entropic aspect of wind and our breath and weather is like happening, but think about the metaphor of making a wish to know where things go. And the divine has that same wish. That breath cycle of God is the universe we are in, and we're all wisps of our own latent selfhood, expressing ourselves in a variety of different trajectories with our own free will. Now, when we think about sunflowers, the sunflower is always doing what? It's going in the direction of the sun, and reminding us that we bloom and rise up to that which illuminates us. Understand that these offerings, they come from a deep, wisdom, and it all starts with symmetry. What's beautiful about flowers, what we consider beauty, has a lot to do with symmetry, but even synchronizations have a lot to do with symmetry. And Shiva and Shakti are both of these two lovers that are dual aspects of one consciousness, symmetrically reflecting itself back to each other. And that's where we achieve real peace and joy, when we start looking at things from a lens of having that resonance and that alignment. Flowers are the reminder that the divine is always with us, loving us passionately, teaching us that eros and desire is not separate from the human experience, and that the divine wouldn't want us to have these senses to not just use them, but to activate them, to remember the source from which we come from, to experience, to love, to devour ourselves, our experience, however we devour it, with our 5 input parameters, our 5 senses, and do that to each other, with each other, in whatever type of relationship that takes form in.